everyone, it's Megan and today I am here with the 4 books that I think everybody should read in a lifetime. These books have changed my life and the way I perceive the world, and potentially they might do the same for you. I'm not saying that they will, but they're just 4 books that I think everyone should have a go at. So in no particular order, the first one I have here is The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. This book is so sad. It's about a young girl called Esther Greenwood who wins this amazingly prestigious prize to go and stay in New York for the summer. She's with all these other girls who have won the same thing, and they're sort of working in all of these career-raising opportunities. So Esther works in a magazine and she is sort of disconnected. She's not feeling how she should feel, and she's really just numb, I guess is the right word. And this is following her sort of depression and her problems, and it's set in the 1950s, so it is at a time when mental illness was not taken seriously, and it is so sad what happens to Esther. This book is not necessarily depressing, but it is a good portrayal of depression. So it shows the discrimination against her, 1 because she's a woman, and 2 because she's not feeling the things that society deems she should feel. So this book is a really great feminist text if you need one to study for university, or if you're just interested in reading more about it. I enjoyed this book as a book, not just as a feminist text, so it's definitely a good one to read if you're just into something short. The second book that I have here along the theme of feminism is The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. This book is confronting, I'm not gonna lie. It's not that long, so it's probably the biggest out of all the books I have to recommend, but it is quite thick language. It's not difficult to read, it's just hard to digest because the themes in this book are so heavy. It's set in a post-apocalyptic world, I guess, a dystopian future. It's in a place called the Republic of Gilead, I think that's how you say it. And the name of the protagonist is Offred. That's not her real name, it is her given name after something happened to the world. I think it was nuclear, and some women lost the ability to have children, and some children are born deformed. So essentially women who are capable of bearing children still are given to wealthy and prestigious families in this republic, which is extremely sexist. And these women suffer, they have to bear the children for these men that they're not interested in, and these cruel women that are often bullying them because they can no longer bear children. It's quite complex and it's hard to explain, but segregation in society is rife and it's cruel, there's punishment, it's truly a depressing dystopian future. I recently read Vivian versus the Apocalypse, and I was astounded by the similarities between the 2 strict religions that sort of govern the worlds in these books. And I really think if you've read Vivian versus the Apocalypse, you will love this book because it kind of seems like it's a continuation of it in many ways. Women are treated like objects in this book, so if you're interested in feminist texts, I recommend this one along with The Bell Jar. But I just think that this book is good to enlighten you on what the possible future may hold, because the scary thing in this book is not the themes, but the fact that the themes can be real and are frighteningly realistic. The next book that I have, which changed my life in many ways, it is still today my favourite book of all time. I take it with me when I travel and I can just read it and reread it. It's very short, it's very easy to read, the language is not complex like in Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale, but it is still sufficient. And I like the tone in this book. And so it is How I Live Now by Meg Rossoff. You can see how battered and travel worn this copy is. Why do I love this book? So many reasons. It is about a young anorexic girl called Daisy who goes to stay with her English cousins whom she's never met. And while she's visiting them, World War III, I guess, breaks out, and she's caught in this country that is foreign and in this war that has nothing to do with her. It's about her struggle to survive, and what I like about this book is that the sort of romance and her issues with anorexia aren't the main pivotal parts of this book, if you understand what I mean. The main thing is her discovering a new country in the middle of this awful situation. It is a young adult book, but it seems quite adult. So a lot of stuff happens in here that is very confronting, but it is a good portrayal of what a world could be. It's not a very climactic book, so it's quite slow, it's quite an easy read, but I like that about it. So I would recommend this book to anybody who is interested in a short quick read that sort of changes your perspective on war in many ways. There's also a small amount of incest in this, but I didn't find it that weird and I don't know why. And a lot of people who have read this book didn't find it that weird and they don't know why. The final book that I have for a short, quick read that is life-changing in many ways is a great classic, and it's The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I'm sure a lot of you have read this book and I'm sure a lot of you have seen the movie, and I think the movie is a perfectly acceptable way to discover this book because I reckon Baz Luhrmann did a wonderful job at portraying faithfully what this story is about. But if you're interested in this book, it's not hard to read and it is really enlightening. The descriptions that Fitzgerald uses are incredible and beautiful, and I think that's something that can't be fully captured in the movie. And I think that this book is just really wonderful at opening your eyes at what life really means and how being rich doesn't necessarily give you happiness. So these 4 books are all the ones that I recommend if you don't have a lot of time but you still want to read something meaningful. They're all great in their own different ways, and I will do sort of brief synopsises on them down below if you're interested in them more. But I loved all of these books and all of these books changed my life in some small yet significant way. So if you've read any of these books, please let me know because as always I love to talk about the books that I've read. Bye!